Again, thank you for coming in, taking your time this morning. And what we want to do is just run through a few things about Beautiful Savior, about membership, about what to expect. Good thing about this. Morning, Doug. We were members when the church was first formed, meeting in the school. And then we were here for a number of years, then moved to North Carolina for 6 years, and then we're able to move back. So kids and grandkids were a great tug on that, but as well as Beautiful Savior. So what we want to do is review some things about the church. We want to review some of the people, some of the opportunities that we have here, and just give you an idea of what to expect. And the one thing we can tell you after a number of Lutheran churches between a few years, it was a great church. We're not perfect, but we have a good amount of issues that come up. So one of the things we're lucky enough, our congregational president, Doug Monken, is here, and he's going to go over some the boards that we have within the church, so kind of get an idea of who does what and how we operate, and if you have an interest in something in the future. Plus, he's also had the task lately of, that was undertaken, you volunteered for that one, Constitution.
We did that.
We revised our Constitution to take account of some changes that we had in the way we were operating. So, with that, I'm going to pass out some things for everybody here. And Doug, if you'd like to, if you want to take a look at that. By the way, we have only one rule in class today. If you have a question, you have to ask right now. Because if I have a question and I go to wait and hold it for later, it's long gone. So, you don't mind stopping and answering any questions and addressing them while the issue is hot. So, Doug, you good with that?
I'm good with that, yes. I'd rather have a discussion
Yeah. So, with that,
my name is Doug Monken. My wife Jennifer and I have been members here for about, I think we're going on 18 years. We have two daughters. Our oldest is a freshman at Concordia University in Mequon, and it's a little challenging having her gone now for the first time. But our youngest daughter is a freshman, and she still obviously goes here, and you see her running around as well. So we've been members here going on 18 years, served all different capacities, elder, vice president, stewardship committee, all that kind of stuff. So in that time, we've seen a lot of change. And as Phil said, one of those most recent changes was an update to our Constitution and bylaws. When the church was organized about 25 years ago, some of the things that were relevant then were not necessarily relevant now, or there have been changes. And so we worked extensively to change our Constitution, which basically dictates how this church operates. Everything from how our boards and committees are organized to how we call staff, which is our pastors, how we may do different things within the church as far as how we call board meetings and things of that nature. So May and July, I think, were the meetings that finalized the Constitution and bylaw revisions within the congregation, and now that has been submitted to districts. So I don't know how many of you are Lutheran and know kind of the way the Lutheran Church is organized, but our congregation is a member of Kansas District, which kind of helps us, kind of guides us.
Yeah, we can follow their guidelines on a U.S. basis and take it down to the district and
So the district is going to review that, and again, we don't necessarily have to follow the district recommendations, but if we want to remain a member of the Lutheran Church Reserve Synod, we will heed those advice or their recommendations. So we don't anticipate any problems. Some of their reviews, some of their recommendations were implemented in that revision from 2016. It just never been ratified by the congregation. So we should be hearing back in the next month or so from that, and then there'll be another voters meeting in November to finally ratify that and to ratify our budget. So,
Are all members voting members?
yes, well, all members confirmed, and that's in the Constitution as well, and that did change. We changed the wording for that. So it's, I think it's communicant members.
Yeah, we correct, we changed it, and I think, was there not an age? If it's voting on financial, then there's also an age as well as community.
So, yes, but if you're an adult member, yes, you can vote. And those are generally held after second service. We have a budget meeting. We have two regularly scheduled meetings for the year. One in November for budget, one in April for our slate of officers. So every year, we have election of officers, and that kind of ties us into, if you look on page 4 of the book that Bill passed out, all of these people listed are serving under their respective board, and those are all elected positions. So every year, the council, the church council, which is comprised of the 4 officers at the top, myself, and the 3 other officers, and then the chairman for each board, that's council. Council meets once a month, and so in probably in February, March, the council forms a nomination committee, and they fill the slate. So most of these positions are 2-year terms, and so basically people can come and go off the boards. The nominating committee will fill the slate in an election to fill out all the boards and all the positions. So once those boards are filled, then it's their job as a council to come together and make decisions about the material operations of the church. And I say material because specifically the Board of Elders, we can start with them. That's one of the boards that deals with the spiritual aspect of the church. They really don't get into a lot of the nuts and bolts of how the church operates, but they kind of oversee the spiritual side. The called staff, both pastors, the vicar, all of the other people who are employed here report ultimately to the Board of Elders. So it's their job to make sure that what is being heard from the pulpit is accurate. So they kind of the spiritual watchdogs, if you will. Board of Trustees, they are ultimately responsible for everything that you would see. They make sure that the buildings are maintained, the grounds are maintained. They make sure that the parking lot's cleared in the wintertime, that things are painted, the lawns mowed. Anything that has to do with the physical assets, that is the Board of Trustees' responsibility. So if you have a special skill or an interest in buildings, that might be a good board to serve. Board of Member Engagement, that is a relatively new board. As I said, we redid our constitution and bylaws, and one of the things that we changed was that had previously been board of stewardship. When people think stewardship, I think the knee-jerk reaction is money, that they are responsible for a capital fund drive every year, making sure the offerings are coming in. But we really wanted to make sure that people understood that stewardship is much more than the financial aspects of it. It's your time, your talents, and your treasures. So we changed it to member engagement. And this board, and that they're still organizing how they're going to do this, but the board's main function is to tie people with their skills, their interests, their abilities to needs within the church. So if you had, let's say, a special skill that you could assist the elderly, you just didn't know who needed help, this board could help you find the people within your congregation that need help. Things of that nature. Board of Youth Ministry, that's exactly what it sounds like. That board oversees the functions of the youth, everything from the National Youth Gathering, for high school kids. They have the junior youth, they have the, I believe it goes out in 5th grade, is where they setting up programs and functions and youth group and that kind of thing. Our preschool board. We do have a preschool, I'm not sure how many of you knew that. We do have a preschool, I believe there's about 170 kids enrolled in it. And so every Monday through Friday, that lower level is packed with kids. This board, while they don't oversee the day-to-day operations, we have a preschool director for that. The preschool board oversees the ultimate direction and the financials of the preschool. Board of Evangelism and Assimilation. You may have had some experience with that board already. That board, as its name implies, evangelism, responsible for outreach. So it's responsible for setting up a lot of the missions that we do. We have a Guatemala mission trip each year. We're partnered with the Church in Zacapa. We have another mission trip that high school do to Castle Lake, Alaska. We've done that the last 2 years, so we're trying to get a hang of them. So they work a lot of our missions programs and also local missions where, let's say, we're giving funds to bicycle pregnancy. So they oversee how our missions funds and donations are spent. But they also, they're responsible for assimilation. Assimilation had been its own board at one time. As a part of this constitutional reorganization, the Board of Assimilation was pushed into or melded with evangelism. Because we really thought that for people to be really involved in the evangelism, they had to feel like they belonged. So assimilation, that portion of that board brings people in, not just new members such as yourselves, but people that are here that may not know how to fit in or where they fit in. Excuse me. And then finally, Board of Fellowship. That board is responsible for organizing the more, I'll say, social aspects of our church. So if we have a dinner, that's their responsibility. Coffee on Sunday morning, donuts, that kind of thing, they pull that together. If we have the Fall Fun Fest, that's them. So anything that has to do just with our congregation getting together, spending time with one another, doing things here at the church, the Board of Fellowship would be responsible for. One board that you don't see listed that you would have a year ago, Board of Education. We did have a Board of Education as in the original Constitution. We did remove that board because in our reviews, all of the education of our congregation was done by our own staff. So our senior pastor and associate pastor basically were responsible for all of the educational programs, from Sunday school to VBS, Bible studies. That all went to them anyway. And so what we determined was the Board of Education was more of a reporting board rather than some group that drove decisions. And as I said, the pastors already report to the Board of Elders, so that board was really unnecessary. So, excuse me, those are the boards. Phil, are these the updated Constitution?
I think that's the latest version that
Okay.
you submitted.
Okay. So if you flip through here, I'm not going to really talk about all these others. You can see about our stained glass windows and so on. But then you can, in the page 22.
Little haphazard, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Page 22, the Constitution, as it's been revised, submitted to district, that's listed, followed by the bylaws. So if you have questions about membership or how we would do something, it should be addressed.
That was a pretty small remnant. And so that remnant.
So as you go through it, if you have questions, feel free to stop me or one of your elders. As you become members, you will be assigned, an elder will be assigned to you. And so if there are any concerns you have about anything in the church, whether it be something you heard during a sermon or a concern that your need that your family has, prayer needs, whatever the case may be, you can reach out to your elder. Obviously, you can reach out to the pastor, but the elder that is assigned to your family could be your first line. When I was an elder, we had a woman who had lost her husband, excuse me, and then she had her basement malfunctioned, and she really didn't know what to do, basically. And so as her elder, she called me, and then we organized some men here at the church that went and helped to clean it up and so on. But that's the kind of thing, it doesn't have to be that big. It could be maybe, hey, my husband's going in for a job interview, can you pray for him? Things like that. It's unique kind of needs you may have your own person to reach out to. So, we kind of went through it quickly. I don't know if you have any questions.
Well, thanks, Doug, appreciate it.
You bet. I'm around almost every Sunday. My wife, I don't know if you saw her peeking in the window, she does the Sunday school attendance and offering, and so you'll see her running around from time to time. But you can stop us anytime.
I asked for offering envelopes, and they said they would have them for me.
Okay.
I
Those,
called them.
they should be coming in, they'll order new ones, should be
Oh,
coming
well,
in.
when I get any for this year then,
I'll have to check, I'll check with our office.
because I called and they said they'd give me some.
Okay, there should be extras on
Yeah, we
there.
should have some extra boxes they can send.
Okay, I'll talk to John about it.
We'd like to have offering envelopes too.
Okay.
We have ours.
You have yours? You need some too? Okay. Okay. Very good, I will go check on those.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Glad you guys are here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug brought up a really good point. If you look, on page 3, where it says, please notify us. You know, even members who have been here forever, it's like, we'll get a call and somebody's upset because the pastor didn't stop by to see him at the hospital. Did you call and tell anybody? Well, no. You know, hang on, let me think about this a minute. He's good, but he's not that good. So, you know, the thing Doug brought up is, you know, if you have a concern, if you're not sure whether to call, call. Call Pastor Schultz, Pastor Anna, call one of us, call anybody. But, you know, and the reason, you know, somebody's in a hospital, somebody's hurt, the birth of a child. You know, we like to celebrate for the good things as well as some of the not so good things. So if there's something in there, and especially, you know, when you see the prayer list on Sunday mornings and then in info as you go and those things, you know, it's nice to rejoice when there's a new baby, there's a new member that are baptized. So, but you know, if you have a concern, if it's a medical issue, somebody's going in for a test, a relationship, a new job, there's just a number of things here that, you know, there are some examples of things we've experienced, but, you know, don't be shy. There's people here, how many coming in from outside the area? Okay. And especially for you guys, you know, where something as simple as, where's a good place to take my car? You know, when we moved here, the two biggest issues we had is the doctor and the car. You know, where do we go? You know, and who do you recommend? Because those are things that hit you really close and personal. So we want to make sure anything, you know, and on top of it, we have a couple doctors in the congregation. We have realtors, we have bankers, we have people who do, you know, I think air conditioning and heating. And, you know, if you've got to rely on somebody you're going to see every week. At least then you can tell them that there's something going on. But, you know, it's, if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. I mean, we're going to get trying to get your pictures taken next weekend or the weekend after so you can get it to the church director. And then from the church directory, what we'll have, you know, you'll have everybody there. You'll have the pictures, the names, the information about the family, the contact information, phone numbers. You know, and even finding out, you know, where you're living and who's close, you know. I got a car that's up at the shop, I need a ride to go get it. There's somebody around that I can, you know, other than Uber, that I can call to, you know, help me go pick up a car or drop something off or something. But, you know, that's one of the things we can't impress upon you enough is that I really don't think there's anything too large or too small, you know, as Doug was mentioning. But a lot of good people around here. We have a number of folks who are retired. That'll be me in 6 months. So, but you know, so some of those folks have a little more time, and they're in and out of here all the time anyway. So, But again, if you have questions, ask somebody. Good resources, just for everyday items that come up, just whether here or around the house. So, any questions as you come in and started to participate and worship? Is there anything that you've seen or any questions you've had that, come to mind? Anything that, you're wondering about that we might do differently or is unique? Something you've seen that you're not sure of? We have, another thing I can think of is, we do communion every service.
We like that.
Yeah, well, and the reason we did that was the fact that, I'm sorry, I moved out of the zone of things. But that was to address some needs when people came up and had varying schedules. And they said, my work schedule or travel schedule to go see kids and grandkids. And it's like, we're not taking communion as much. Well, you hear enough of that, and we adjusted it, and, probably, 4 or 5 months ago, we went to communion for each service. So it's a good opportunity. And, as Pastor brought up, is who's going to complain about having too much opportunity for communion? And we're pretty efficient at communion, so it moves along pretty well. So, no questions? Let me ask, those coming in from out of the area, where are you coming in from?
Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania, what part?
Western.
North Pittsburgh.
Oh, the only thing it's not, are you Steelers fans?
Yeah.
You're not the first.
We don't follow pro football.
We're Nebraska football.
We're
fans, so we're
So yesterday was,
We're Nebraska, we're college fans.
yesterday wasn't a good
Oh,
day,
it was
was it?
horrible.
No,
It'll get better.
Oh, that's the way it is.
it'll get better. Fox will get us there.
We have a lot,
Luckily,
as you'll see, we have a lot of Midwest members. From actually Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska. We came in from northern Illinois, Chicago suburbs. So, but yeah, we have multiple Nebraska families here. So there's several people who are upset, with the way things went yesterday. And then, of course, I'm sure you've all heard, you only have to be here 1 or 2 services before you realize Pastor is a Cardinals fan. His 5 boys are Cardinals fans. His wife is a Cardinals fan. And their new daughter-in-law is a Cardinals fan. So, but we don't hold that against them. One other thing Doug pointed out, and just as you look around in the sanctuary, the windows. We're kind of proud of those. They have a unique history. The large stained glass window in the front was designed and put in as part of the remodeling program a few years ago. And it's a really neat story behind the artwork on that, if you have a chance to read that one of these days. But the other windows, stained glass, that you'll see around the sanctuary were those that were part of the original construction. That was kind of neat. When we moved we were worshiping in the grade school up at 143rd and Black Box, so not even a mile away. And then when we started, the congregation actually did a lot of building of the church. So we had contractors come in with items that, a lot of the foundation, concrete, the metalwork, things that we couldn't do. But even then, a lot of the members participated in that. So, with that, it was really a unique experience to see all ages, from the adults to the children. We had a couple walls downstairs that we were doing drywall. They set up some walls for the kids, and so they let the kids come in and help hang drywall up. It was only there temporarily, but the kids were really proud of that one wall. Didn't know it all came down that night and was replaced, but so they all got to participate in the program. So, it was a good experience. So, but the other windows around there, the description the four gospels that Pastor gave us the update on. Very interesting. And as you look, the original Beautiful Savior logo that we had, and I'm not sure who did the original artwork for that, but that, I'm not sure it was a member or our first. Okay. Oh, there. Susan Shields, the pastor, the first pastor we had, the expansion pastor that was here. So they decided they needed the logo that was uniquely Beautiful Savior. So, but then you see the other windows and the things we have here and what they represent. We won't go into all of them in detail, but just it's kind of interesting. I enjoyed the stained glass, and so understanding the story behind it and how it originated was kind of interesting. So, okay, what I'd like to do.
Well, there it is right there.
Pardon me?
There it is
yeah.
right there.
Yes, that you will see in a number of places around the church, even from the printed materials to the windows. So, let's see. We would like to have everybody fill one of these out.
You know, you're already members.
Did you already fill one of these out then? Oh, okay. And this is for us to know a little bit more about you and contact information and the details that, in case you haven't filled one out yet.
Would it be all right if we turn this in next week?
Sure. Sure, if there's something you want to add. You'll know, this church, we were established, in 1991. So we were going to another Lutheran church on the other side of Olathe, and as Olathe was growing, we live over by like 143rd between Flum and Quivira. And before we moved to North Carolina, we were just kind of across the street, same general address. But it kept taking longer and longer to get to church on the other side of town because of more stoplights and more stop signs. And if you hit the train at the wrong time of the day, you couldn't get across the tracks. And the synod decided we needed an expansion church. And that's when they started, the group brought in our expansion pastor and started meeting. And at that point in time, we came over, participated, met with some of the folks, and it was on the meeting in a school auditorium. It was rather interesting. So, but we can just, for those of you who want to fill it out, if you have any questions about anything, and especially if there's any hobbies, anything, if we've got a number of different things going on here with the ladies' ministry, the men's ministry, some of the arts and the crafts, some of the sewing things that are going on.
You go to your app on your phone and it's called Instant Church Directory.
And then with,
And it'll tell you exactly what you need to do.
we do a couple things with, the men's ministry isn't quite as large as the women's ministry is, but there's still some things that take place. And I think there's a golf outing. We've got a number of guys who like to fish or attend ball games and different things. So a lot of different interests out here. The speakers out there in the other room work good, don't they? We could probably shut his microphone off and he never noticed.
You definitely does not even need that in that room.
That's what we always laugh, we said, yeah, he could, if he needs any side work, he could get that job working for the carnivals. Well, is it the Barkers bringing people into the shows?
Well, he gets so excited too, and it's interesting.
Yes. We are very fortunate to have a very good staff.
Yes.
Who complement each other so well.
And they actually like each other, that's.
Yeah.
The new vicar seems to be extremely nice.
Yes, yeah, we have, a couple of things that we do that are distinct outreach on our part is that, our preschool is an outreach, it's a mission to the community. But the other thing is our commitment to the vicar program, to where, a lot of times the church will get a vicar and they bring them in, they give them some exposure, but they really don't have organized programs, so they're doing odd jobs, and I think the church, the district is helping change that. But with our vicar coming in, they immediately begin to do things that are based upon their role as a pastor. They're making, hospital calls, they're making to the assisted living, they're assisting with things that they will be doing after they finish their last year, and then go back out and actually go back out as an assistant pastor or pastor somewhere, so. And then the fact that, we support them financially. When they go back to school for their last year, I think our congregation has been giving each of the vicars as they go back, a $4,000 grant to help them through their last year of school. Many of them, when they come out, they're either, I think the last 2 or 3 have been newly married. So, and then paying a lot of their own tuition and their expenses for going through the seminary. It's like, we can help them out a little bit. So, they have a salary while they're here. We pay for their living expenses and then try and help them for their last year, so.
Now, do they live down here in the,
No, we've had an arrangement with an apartment complex at like 122nd and Schweitzer. It's a few miles away, but it's a nice complex. It kind of backs up to the 69 highway, if you go out like the Blue Valley Parkway over here. But it's nestled in an area, it's quiet, they just renovated it. It's, all the vicars that we've had there have been very happy with the living arrangements. So it's a nice place, it's not a dump, so it's good living accommodations. So, but that, we felt is, one thing we can do with our situation is make sure we help provide good future pastors for the Missouri Synod Lutheran Church. Because they're getting few and far between, harder to fill the needs out there, so. Anything we can do to help improve their quality and quantity is a benefit to all of us, so. Any questions on your form?
Not on the form, I'm just curious, ballpark, what's the membership of the church?
Whether it's total or communicant.
That's okay. Just curious.
I think I'll double check for next week, but I think it's about 500 communicant members. And then I'm thinking there's 150, 200 non-communicant members. So we've been going through a cycle. We were a very young church for many years. We had fewer little ones in the congregation, and now we're coming back the other direction. We aged a little bit, and now we're coming back, and we're getting, more and more kids, little ones coming back into the congregation. So, I guess what that means is our pastors, and what we're doing is reaching out to people of all age groups. So, but it's definitely We generally go to second service because we, when I held her in the second service, we had a shortage, so it's amazing, when I come into the first service, I used to know most of the people, but I come into the first service now, it's like, who are all these people? So, you know, if you attend a different service, there's definitely different set of faces, so. But,
And the Sunday evening, 6 o'clock service is a nice option.
yes, yes, definitely, I mean, if there's activities, and, you know, with us, it's like, the way they schedule ball games for grandkids now, it's like, it's idiotic, but if you wanna go see them play, you don't have any choice once in a while, so it's nice to have that to fall back on, and, you know, not miss out on it. Plus, you all do know that if you go to YouTube, you can take, and, you know, they'll have a number of our services going back months if you wanna take a look at something on there. They're all recorded and on YouTube, so, and pretty good quality. So, any questions?
These classes, we're going to be out of town the next two, but they're going to be on YouTube as well.
Yeah, evidently, they're gonna put them on there, so, and, you know, if something comes up and, you wanna get together when you guys get back, if there's something we wanna review, you know, I'll get with you on it. Someday we'll find a room to follow up on. Next week, we're going to follow up on a little bit more detail on, our stewardship, some of the beliefs of the Lutheran Church. And then the third week, Pastor is going to be in here, some things he's going to talk about. But yeah, we can do catch up on that, or if we have another one that's gonna be scheduled, but we have no problem, because I think we have some who missed today that are gonna be in the next 2 weeks, so, yeah, we can facilitate catching up on that, so. But, all right, let's see. We have this one, if you can, we would like to get back from you today. We'll talk more about this, but this is, if you fill this out, doesn't mean you're gonna get a phone call tomorrow saying, oh, we see you like this activity. What this means, it's gonna go into the file, or we will be reviewing them and see if there's something that's of interest to you, something where we may have a need, you may have a need, but where we can put the two pieces together.
Right, it's the upside, or it's the, there's so many downsides to it, so understand what I'm saying. It is probably the only upside.
Everybody heard our handbell choir now, and the little one.
Oh, the little ones
Little
are
ones.
fantastic. They're so cute.
Our music program has really taken a nice leap forward the last year or two. Fortunately for me, everybody's heard me sing, so I don't get any calls from anybody from the choir area, so.
However, and that's my point, a very narrow downside is he can be very restricted. But any pastor who
We'll have
says,
to think about some of this first.
Yeah,
family,
yeah, if you want to turn it in, it's,
Oh, maybe.
any pastor who says God's church family probably should be better. It's God's family church. My family, sorry, I love all of you. I love all of you. But my family comes first. Well, you know, I skipped over you just because I didn't want to draw a second vote.
That's a favorite clause.
And I make those decisions on a case-by-case basis.
Everybody enjoy that cool weather yesterday and today?
Morning too.
And we can't reschedule meetings, then I'm at the meeting and I'll miss the sporting event. If the meeting isn't so important, then they can do it without me. And you should desire that in a pastor. You should not desire a workaholic pastor. You should not desire a pastor who does everything in the church. There are far too many of those, and he's unhealthy, and the family is unhealthy, and also the congregation. This is a trickle-down effect, the trickle-down effect of the whole congregation. It really is. Pastors who are workaholics.
So you survived, Mr. Chapin.
You know why?
It's tough. Couldn't help but have a lot of takeaways there though too, you know? Just how you apply them.
He's quick,
Mark was chairman of the elders for several years, and as you would imagine, very organized, very prompt, very on time, and pretty good role. Same thing he would apply at work.
Yeah, that's more or less done. I'll add to that or I think it's good.
Okay.
But as we get more involved, I think we don't work a little bit. Just drive some more involvement.
We're glad he was talking to you. We kind of did the same thing. So I mean, that's, one of the reasons we were glad to move back to Kansas.
Sure.
The Lutheran churches are a little few and far between in North Carolina, the area where we were living for a while, so.
Mark was just doing an introduction. I think it's been 20 years that, he and I have had a chance to know each other. Wow. So that's an interesting, deal too.
You survived that long. That's a testimonial.
There you go, there you go.
How do we find out for sure? We did have an elder stop by.
Oh.
How do we find out?
Someone called on you?
It was, well, we had somebody that visited us. I think
I wasn't anybody visiting.
I wasn't-
Heard in.
I'm not sure, I haven't heard, unless somebody was,
Well, the first one was Greg.
It was great, yeah.
Greg Coates. visited.
okay, yeah. Greg was part of the fellowship
Yeah, he was a
board.
fellowship board. He just visited us.
That's
And the second guy, the reason he visited was because he wanted to recruit us to be members, because we did
I think we
not.
both were interested in
Yeah,
membership.
we were interested in membership,
Oh, okay.
and that's when he came by. So, because we didn't transfer, we didn't transfer our membership yet.
I'll
So
have my book with next week, and we can
Okay.
check and see if you've already been assigned, or,
Okay.
and if that's the
I
case,
didn't
but
know.
we really, in most cases, they've not been assigned yet, so.
Okay, that would have to.
So unless somebody knew, and they,
Basically, it's just they were here, because we asked for information.
we'll find out if one of the guys already made a call, then we'll definitely just try and keep it in that area. So that's one of the reasons we want to get all this in, is that way we can get an elder assigned and let you know who it is, introduce you to them, make sure they're not a stranger, so. We try not to have people wander around the church for a year or two wondering, I know my elder's name, but I'm not sure I ever met them, so. Now, where did you guys, in the area, or?
Well, actually, I think you must have been talking about Redeemer. Originally, we were at Redeemer, when you said the other side. Before that, we were at Bethany. Then we went from Redeemer back to Bethany. And that's where we've just come from.
Okay.
Because we actually live close here, real close. And now that we're retired, we're thinking, oh, let's make it close.
Yeah.
So, but we've been back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, they're all good locations, but they're at different stages.
Mhm.
And so,
We've been in the Kansas City area for probably, in Johnson County for about 45 years.
wow. We moved out here in '83. I came out with 3 kids. So when we moved out, there wasn't much south of College. You know,
Farmland, cropland.
yeah, we lived out 143rd and Quivira, and all we had around us was pasture and fields, so, deer, quail, I mean,
We remember what it looked like. We remember when Black Bob was not much of anything.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
even Quivira, the bridge down going to College is only 1.5 lanes, so, but, had to go a little farther if you wanted to go out to dinner or go shopping or
Yeah.
do something, so. But it's a good area. First year we came out from the Chicago suburbs, in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and we moved back to Hartford. Second year we go, not so bad out here. It's pretty well organized, traffic's not bad, cost of living, schools are good. I don't know, it'd take a really good offer for me to go back. Third year we go, had an offer, no, we don't want to go back. You know, it's, fall lasts a couple weeks longer, spring comes a couple weeks earlier, and the winters aren't quite as nasty as they are in Chicago, so. But, and how about you guys?
We're from Davenport, Iowa.
Okay.
Well, we're from Iowa.
We're from
But we've been laborers for Christ for the last
14 years.
14 years.
Wow.
We just retired. He just retired.
Congratulations.
We've been all over the United States.
Wow.
We still have a fifth wheel for sale.
I was gonna say, your home is mobile.
Yeah.
It was. We
Wow.
nailed it to bed. Where do we live?
Stones Post Ranch over
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, you're not far from us,
No,
so.
about 5 minutes, yeah.
Oh,
In fact, we're going, we were talking about, do we want to get into a mobile home right now? And I'm going, I travel for a living. After Lee Jeans, I went to work for a company that we make and sell sewing thread.
okay.
But we do it for everything, shoes, shirts, pants, airbags, seat covers. And we do it in 50 different countries globally. And so we do about $1 billion a year in sales of sewing thread. So ours is called, they're our biggest competitor.
Oh, they are.
Ours is a relatively unknown name. It's called A&E.
Oh,
But we're the other global company. We're still based in the U.S.
Okay.
So, but
well, the difference between work, traveling for a job and traveling as a laborer for Christ, you get to go to a place that you're there long enough to meet not just the congregation and get involved, but the community. And it's been wonderful. We wouldn't trade our experience for anything.
it's good and bad. And then the bad when you have to say goodbye and move on to the next one.
Exactly, that's what I tell people. I said, the worst thing about being a laborer is saying goodbye. Because you make really
Oh,
great
yeah,
friends.
yeah, I can imagine. So, wow. Now, how did you guys go from Pennsylvania?
Grandchildren are here.
Grandchildren.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Yeah.
why we ended up here.
That's
We
why
had
we-
grandchildren and great-grandchildren here.
Well, and, you know, we love North Carolina,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
but,
Well, I don't know whether you'd like it right now or not.
yeah, well, we were right outside of Charlotte.
Oh,
So,
man, they
but-
poor people.
Kids and grandkids were here, so,
Yeah, we love Pennsylvania, but
yeah,
they have a way of getting here.
yeah. Well,
There's
it's,
something unique and neat about every state that we've been in. We've been in a lot of them. How many states have we been
And we did 26 projects in probably 14 years. The last one was in
in? Was it Perry?
Perry,
Perry,
Georgia.
Georgia. And we were there twice.
We
We
built-
actually built the original church.
We built the church and then 5 years later, we came back and put on an addition to it. So.
Oh, that's
Wow.
nice. It was.
That's-
We knew the people there already, most
Yeah,
of them.
that's like going home, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was a great experience.
how did you wind up with us?
I have a son living in Spring Hill, so I moved to be closer to him.
Good.
And I came from southern Kansas, almost to Oklahoma.
Wow. You're
South of
my,
Wichita, about an hour.
my son-in-law grew up in Spring Hill, so
Okay, my son lives there now.
we have some friends out that way, and,
They're in the newer part of Spring Hill, there's, different areas.
yeah, we have, several members here who live out in Spring Hill.
Where is that?
Straight south.
Oh, straight south, okay.
Well, little southwest, but,
Okay.
nice country drive out there, and,
So how far do you have to travel to get here?
Oh, I live on Greenwich and 135th in a retirement center.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's just about 10 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe even not even that.
well, good.
But I don't
Scott,
drive to
you've-
get out of.
You've been around, so,
I've been around. We've been in the area. Moved here for employment 20 years ago. Got the proud parent of about 3 boys that I'm sure you guys will see running around here at some point. But originally, we had our first home in Gardner, Kansas, and our first church home in the area was King of Kings Lutheran there in Gardner. And here a few years ago, we purchased in Olathe, coming back from field assignment for work, and just never really reconnected or reestablished that church home. So that's what's brought us here to Beautiful Savior.
and Scott worked with one of our members who was an elder and a board chairman for a number of years, and a good guy that you'll meet named Mark Chapin. But I told Scott, Mark, great engineer type personality, and we start on time, we've got the minutes, we've got everything ready to go, and so Scott, wow, he survived 20 years with Mark, that's quite a testimonial for both of them. So.
I've got some gray hair, and it seems like some maybe losing some on the top. But some of that may be due to Mark.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the service. I think if you've been around a little bit now, you know, pastor's got a unique sense of humor. So you will, every once in a while, you have to sit there, wait a minute now, is this, oh yeah, this is a joke. But we kid him about it. But, you know, he's very good about reminding us of what's important. And I remember one day I was sitting there and I kind of drifted for a minute, and he went on to a topic of something, and I'm going, oh, man, that's going to get some phone calls. I'm going, I'm not sure what it was. It was, oh, if it was a divorce issue or if it was something, and you know, going, well, somebody's going to call. And I'm going, oh boy, and then I go, oh, wait a minute, that's what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be taking my conscience and you know, getting my conscience and getting me challenged and keep reminding me of things that I should and should not do. And so, you know, one of the things you'll find is I think they present a very good message in a very good way out here. And they do it in a way that's you know, it's pretty much, it's not meant to offend. I don't think too many people have a problem with any of the issues we come up with, but you know, if you see something or hear something during the service, you know, sometimes we miss some things, but by all means, we want comments on when you have something you think is an important viewpoint or a thought or something. You know, the elders love to hear that, because, you know, all too often we gotta call or email or just, you know, stay in contact with people. But every once in a while, somebody has some ideas and something we didn't think of, and you go, oh man, we should have been doing this all along. So I mean, just, you know, anytime you see something in there that you know, it's different or unique or whatever it may be, we really like the fact that, you know, give us a call, shoot us an email. You know, even a number of us travel, but we're still accessible via phone or email, 7 days a week. But, you know, for the most part, I think you'll find it, you know, an enjoyable worship experience, a good group of people to worship with. How many of you been in Bible study? It's getting full.
What you just said, he actually had a sermon on that 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, we went to a family reunion, and I haven't gone back to do the tape on that one.
Well, he did what he was supposed to.
Yeah. So, you know, it's, the different congregations we belong to as we moved, we've been very happy with this one, and it was a draw for us, you know, as well as kids and grandkids to move back. Especially North Carolina, we had a tough time finding a Lutheran church, and then finding a Missouri City Lutheran church. So.
Go to the northeast.
Yeah, but, you know, if you look at Bible study, you know, attendance used to be much lower. You'd see the service ended, you'd see the doors blow open and a mass exodus of bodies.
You know, we pulled in and there's quite a few leaving.
But, yeah,
You
there's
try to
still,
turn around and go back to Bible
there's
study.
still a number of them now, we still see a lot go out, but a lot of them are heading over to Quick Trip or McDonald's, or they're grabbing something and they're coming back.
Oh, that's good.
So, you know, we've seen the numbers grow, and one of the reasons is because he keeps bringing it up, and he says, where do you have to go on Sunday morning that's more important than here? Yeah, well, and me, a lot of times I'm headed to the airport, so some things I can change, some things I can't, but, you know, when and it brings out, he says, when you're in town, we know where you're supposed to be. And that's been good, because, you know, our previous pastor, well, come on, you guys need to be here, and very little said about it. Well, and then, yeah, you get accustomed to being in there, and then, you know, the people you're sitting around, and, you know, they look and you're not there, and they're calling you, you are